G'day, I'm Paul. There is currently a battle to have the cheapest EV in Australia, and the latest cab or cat off the rank is the GWM Ora, and I say that because it's called the Good Cat overseas. I don't know who comes up with these names, but anyway, this one is priced at just under $40,000. This competes with things like the MG4, the BYD Atto 3, MG ZS. It's kind of a bit of everything. It's not really an SUV, but it's sort of, I don't know, a bit hatchbacky. In terms of size, it's between like a Polo and a Golf, just to give you a bit of a visual idea of how big it is. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below, and make sure you've subscribed to our channel and press the bell icon as well, so you can find out every single time we drive a Good Cat. Now let's talk design. So you've got 5 external colours to pick from. All but white is going to set you back $595. Let me know in the comments section below, what do you think of the design? Do you think it is a little bit goofy, or do you think that it looks appealing to you? Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Styling is subjective, so there's no point in me sharing my thoughts on what it looks like. So down the front here, you've got LED headlights. They say intelligent light in there, so a decent headlight beam as well, by the way. An exclamation mark here for the logo. This looks different to the GWM logo we've seen on things like the Canon Ute, but you know, it is reserved for this particular vehicle. And down the bottom here, you've got these little chrome outlets for those slots, and then cooling for the battery system down here. Now, I did find this interesting. There's kind of like an exposed 3D element just here as well, which I think is kind of a cool design thing that I haven't really seen in other cars on the market before, so that's interesting. Under the bonnet here, you just have electrical components. There is no storage, so it is a bit disappointing they haven't used the packaging that you can get with an electric vehicle to really take advantage of the storage that you find in vehicles like the Model 3 and some of the Hyundai and Kia products. Around the side here, you have a set of 18-inch alloy wheels. So the design is just sort of pretty straightforward. You've got that sort of alloy finish there, and then just a plastic cap in the center there. Fairly decent profile on that tire. It's a Gitty Comfort. So I haven't really sort of had much experience with these tires before, so we'll see how it goes when we actually go for a bit of a punt. But hopefully this rides well. It's one of those things that has disappointed us in the past with Chinese market vehicles. They don't tend to ride that well. So we'll see if this bucks that trend. Up the top here, you've got piano black on the wing mirror with an indicator built into there. Camera on the side there, and then black trim down the bottom there. You have proximity sensing for those door handles, privacy glass, and then come around to the back with me. So this is what the back looks like. You've got a black roof, you've got shark fin aerial, brake light here. I actually think the back looks far more interesting than the front, and it is quite a unique setup. I haven't seen anything like this before. So you can see that LED strip along the top there. You've got the Ora badge there, GWM here, and then additional lights down the bottom here as well. It is kind of, yeah, I don't know what it reminds me of, but it is just a very unique design. You don't really see this much sheet metal on a car at the rear, so I think it's something a little bit different to what they've done before. So let me know in the comments section below, what do you think of the design? Do you think it looks good? Do you think they should go back to the drawing board? Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Okay, so we are inside the Ora. Look, for 40 grand, I actually think this is a really impressive looking interior. I mean, just have a look at some of these materials they've used throughout here. They have really gone to town on making this look and feel quite premium. So good on them for giving that a crack and really just getting you that feeling that this is a value for money. This is what the key looks like. So you've got lock, unlock, boot, and then on the back you have the GWM logo type thing on the back. Now there is no start button. You just put your foot on the brake to switch it on, and then if you do want to leave the car, there is this button over here that just powers everything down. So yeah, so you've got those two options to pick from when it comes to doing your thing. And it is interesting, I did notice when we power the car up, have a listen to this. Kind of sounds like a fuel pump, even though this is fully electric. Touch points, it's sort of fairly soft to the touch, and then same story over there. Do you want to know how soft it is? Well, we've tested all the main surfaces in this cabin with our gyrometer. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Build quality, what's it like? That's fairly wonky there in the center. It all feels okay, and this is our door slam test. Now let's talk infotainment. So you have a 10.25 inch infotainment screen. You also have a 10.25 inch display ahead of the driver. In terms of audio, you have AM and FM radio and a 6-speaker sound system. There is no DAB digital radio, which seems to be common with the Chinese market cars for some reason. Outside of that, it is all a touchscreen. So you've got to really lean in to get access to all of that. There are no shortcut buttons down here, which is a little bit frustrating. In terms of the operation, though, it is actually pretty straightforward to use. You've got a fair number of functions and customizations that you can actually do in here, which is good. The thing I also like about it is that it has wireless Apple CarPlay. So you can see here it's nice and fast and easy to use. It is meant to have Android Auto as well, but we can't get it working wired or wireless. So we'll see if we can follow up and find out what the problem with that is. And then in terms of the screen ahead of the driver, that's all controlled here on the steering wheel using these touch sensitive buttons. You can also change drive modes as well, and it slightly changes the appearance of this screen when you press that button. I'll show you what that looks like when we actually go for a spin. Let's talk safety. You've got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, auto dimming rear vision mirror. You've got a blind spot monitor built into the wing mirror. You have a radar cruise control. You have a lane departure warning with a lane centering system, which we'll test when we go for a bit of a spin. On the parking front, you have rear parking sensors and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So camera quality is really good. And then you can also do some spinning around here to see other angles. You've got a transparent chassis as well. It's kind of fun. And then you can have a look at your wheels. What else have we got in here? You can mute the radar. Fair bit of functionality there, so pretty impressive. This is what the horn sounds like. So what is your practicality like? We'll start off with connectivity. So you've got two USB-A ports down the bottom here, a 12-volt outlet. You do also have a wireless phone charger up here on a gripped tab. In terms of your bottle storage, how do you go with your coffee cup? Fits down there nicely. It's got teeth to hold that into place. And then bigger bottle, same story as well. Fits it in there without any dramas. It's inside the door too. We'll try our big bottle inside the door. See if that fits in. Not quite. You do have this center storage area here, and then also a glove box that is pretty reasonably sized. Finally, a sunglasses holder up the top. On the comfort front, you have single zone automatic climate control. It's not a great system. We found that it really fogs up the cabin randomly, fairly frequently as well, which is a little frustrating. Your only temperature control is also here on the screen, and it is tiny. So while you're driving, you've got to take your eyes off the road, look around the steering wheel, and then figure out where that climate control is. So I think that needs to be much better, perhaps mounted down here with this switch gear instead. On the seat front, both the driver and front passenger seat are electrically adjustable, so you can go forwards, backwards. Your backrest can go forwards and backwards. You can lift the back of the seat. The seats, have a look at this. Very fancy design. It's like a sort of faux suede material. Fairly comfortable to sit in as well. And the seating position is actually pretty good too. So the steering offers both tilt and reach adjustments. On our reach test, like I mentioned earlier, this stuff is quite difficult to reach while you're driving. Back seat time, what's it like here? So knee room's pretty good, toe room's okay. Headroom is really not very good. It's strange. So it's okay up here, but the roof tapers in. And it kind of feels like the door is, pushing you in, and the head thing is sort of pushing you in. It's really quite a strange space to be seated. In terms of creature comforts, you've got your mat pockets here, one USB-A port, no air vents unfortunately. You do have center armrest here with two cup holders, so you can fit your bottle in there. You've got rubber teeth as well to hold it all into place. And then you also have bottle storage inside the door as well. If you've got kids on board, ISOFIX points on the two outboard seats and 3 top tether points. And our window test, does it go all the way down? It's auto up and down. Boom, excellent. Now, cargo space, let's have a little look. So you have just over 200 litres available with your second row up. It's not exactly the best space, because if you're loading anything into here, you've got to load it over this really high lip and then lob it in. Then once you do, you don't really have a great amount of storage in there. You do have a little bit of storage under here, but it is predominantly going to be eaten up by your cable. So again, there is no rear motor here. How they haven't been able to get much deeper storage here is beyond me. This is what it looks like with the bags in there. So there's one bag, and then here is the second bag. So it kind of fits a medium-sized suitcase, but as you can tell, you kind of have to load it over that lip to actually do anything. You can expand the space a little bit by dropping your second row out of the way. When you do that, it expands the space to just over 850 litres. Now, before we go for a spin, let's talk about charging. So you have both AC and DC charging. AC charging is not too bad, 3-phase, 11 kilowatts. DC charging, on the other hand, is really not very good. So maximum is around 60 odd kilowatt, but the average is around the 40 kilowatt mark, which for a modern EV today really isn't very good. Now, in terms of battery capacity, you have two specs. You have the standard range, which is this one, 48 kilowatt hours, and then the extended range, which is just over 60 kilowatt hours. That gives you a driving range of 320 kilometres and 420 kilometres on the WLTP cycle, respectively. And it is worth pointing out as well that the entry-level version of this has an LFP battery. So that's the type of battery that isn't as susceptible to thermal runaway. It's also the type of battery that you can constantly charge to 100% without any concerns. The top spec version of this actually uses a typical lithium-ion battery that generally you don't want to be charging to 100% constantly, so that is worth keeping in mind. Okay, so we've just hit the road in the GWM Ora. So, it's interesting because I don't know what they've done here with the ride, but in the past, these Chinese domestic market cars just haven't been very good when it comes to the ride for the Australian market, whereas this actually feels really nice. It feels like they've put a lot of effort into a ride and handling tune that is suitable for Australia. So we'll see how it fares when we go on our bumpy road and go for a faster drive, but initial impressions are great so far. So this basically uses a single electric motor that's mounted to the front axle, so it's a front wheel drive. It only produces around 130 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque. But you've got to remember, it's not a massive battery. It's around that 50 kilowatt hour mark, so it doesn't weigh a huge amount. And as a result of that, it actually feels punchy enough behind the wheel with 250 newton meters. So if you sort of get stuck into it, it does all the EV stuff, pushes you back in the seat. So from that point of view, it actually all feels pretty good. I do like here as well that you've got this bar here that indicates how much regen braking you have. And then if you go in the opposite direction, it goes red to indicate that it is drawing current from the system. In its one pedal driving mode though, it's not too bad. I've got it in the strongest regen setting, but it does sort of gradually slow down to the point where it will come to a full stop and then it holds the car there. So that stuff is really nice and smooth. I just think it could be a little bit more aggressive there in terms of the way that it slows down. But I do like that you can change this view on the side there as well to give you other visible items there, so you can see how much energy you're using and then how much regen you're plumbing back into the battery as well. So yeah, pretty cool setup, I reckon. Now, what's it like for economy? Well, GWM claims a combined average of about 17 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. We are currently sitting on 20.7, so not exactly amazing in my opinion. That should be significantly better. I know I keep referring to it, but my Model Y averages around 13, 14 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks, and that is a significantly bigger vehicle than this with a bigger battery as well. So I think they could really work on the efficiency of the motor here. Okay, sine wave time. This will give us a really good indication of how well the ride is tuned. We hit our sine waves at 130 Ks an hour, which is the maximum speed here in Australia. We'll see what the body is like at that full extension. So here we are here. Yeah, it's really not too bad at all. It's quite nice and compliant over those. So excellent job there. Okay, bumpiest road in Australia. Let's hit this at 90 Ks an hour. Let's see what this feels like. Yeah, it's doing a great job. So like I said earlier, the ride tune is fantastic. They've just dialed in everything that you'd expect from, yeah, even on our condensed sine wave here, it's doing a great job. Yeah, they've just dialed in everything you'd expect from a car that's being tuned locally. So they've done a great job with this, and very impressed with how this feels here behind the wheel. Okay, now let's talk drive mode. So you've got a button down here that goes between auto, normal, sport, Eco plus your requisite sound effects. So we'll go over to Sport, see what this is like once we have a little fang around our track. Gee, it's actually holding on really well for a front-wheel drive car. Actually, quite surprising. The steering feels pretty good as well. It's this is feeling significantly better than I thought it would. That's interesting. The windows are fogging up now as well. Yeah, look, it is actually doing a good job. There is a little bit of body roll, but it's not the end of the world. It's interesting. It feels like there's like a little bit of torque vectoring or something on the rear axle. There goes the hazard lights under brakes. Yeah, it's actually pretty surprising. So there is like a faster version of this overseas. I'll be curious to see what that's like to drive, because for a front-wheel drive EV, this is probably the most engaging thing I've driven as a front-wheel drive EV to date. And then along the back straight there, it's sort of humming along nicely. So yeah, pretty impressed with that. So just on road noise, it's not too bad in here. There is a bit of tyre noise that comes into the cabin, but it's not the end of the world. We checked it using our calibrated sound meter. You can see the results there on the screen. You can also compare what this is like to other cars using the link in the description below. Let's talk visibility. So you can see clearly out the front there, but you can't see the front corners of the car. So it's a little bit hard to place at times. The wing mirrors are nice and big though. You've got a blind spot monitor built into those. Visibility out the rear isn't amazing. It's quite a narrow envelope, but you've got the camera and all that sort of stuff to help with parking. We've also got a turning circle of just over 11 metres, which isn't too bad for a front-wheel drive car. Okay, so time to do a little bit of testing of this semi-autonomous setup. We do that at 70 k's an hour. We'll set the cruise control, and then we will see how well the system works. So pop that on. I love those noises. So I'll pop that to auto, set cruise control, 70 k's an hour. Alrighty, let's see how this goes. So we're going to test it in the 3 outer lanes here. So whole idea is as we get to the outer banking, it will have to apply more torque to the steering wheel to keep it within its lane. So it's telling us there to keep our hands on the steering. Okay, it is. Alright, so fine for lane 1. We'll jump over to lane 2. Okay, so wait for that to lock on. Okay. There it is just there. All right, let's see how this goes. It's not doing a bad job there. It's holding us away from the line, which is good. All right, let's try lane 3. Okay. Wait for that to activate. Detected those lines. No, it's now undetected them. Okay, there it is. Now as you can see, it's going in and out of detecting the lanes there, so I don't think that's going to work if I let go of that steering. Oh, it is sort of, yeah, it kind of just gives up on itself after a little bit. I got to say, some of this stuff is just poorly tuned as well. Like, it is quite intrusive. The emergency lane keeping thing would like constantly come on when you're just driving normally. So I ended up switching all of this off because it was sort of a little bit annoying. So yeah, I think it's probably a system that could do with just a little bit more work. Okay, time to do some performance testing. Before we do that though, I wanted to tell you about Help Me CarExpert. If you Google Help Me CarExpert, it'll take you to our website where we're able to connect you with one of our vetted dealers to get you the best deal possible on a new car that is in stock. So head to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert, you'll be all set. So performance testing, we're going to go 0 to 120, and then we'll come back and do a break as well. I just don't understand these windows constantly fogging up. So let me switch stability control off, because I reckon that's going to get us off the line nice and fast. And then we'll see how we go. All right, we're all set, here we go. Very leisurely off the line there. Okay, there's 80, 90, 100, and 120. Yeah, it was super casual off the line there. We weren't in sport mode, so I might give this another crack if this number is no good. The official time is around 8 seconds. Let's see how that went. 0 to 100. That's actually surprising. 7.97 seconds. That was actually quite fast. And then 80 to 120, 5.9 seconds, which is okay, but not sort of too amazing. We'll give it another crack anyway, just in sport mode, and we'll see if that makes any difference to our acceleration to 100. These noises are hilarious. So it seems like you can't do single pedal driving. There's so many menus you've got to dart through here to make this happen. Okay, cool. All right, let's give this a shot. All right, to me that felt quicker. So let's see what happens. 80, 90, 100, 120. All right. It's 7.72, so slightly quicker, and 80 to 120, 5.73, which was slightly quicker as well. So not too bad. All right, let's go for a break from 100 k's an hour. Now, I'm curious to see how quickly this stops. So 80, 90, there's 100. Nice and strong. Let's have a little look there. So 100 to 0, 2.82 seconds, 38.42 meters. So yeah, not a bad result there for stopping from 100 k's an hour. And the one you've been waiting for, our reverse acceleration test. Let's see how fast it'll go in reverse. Picks up all right, 43 kilometers an hour. So the GWM Ora, what do we reckon? Look, to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed by it. Just on the EV front, the charging speeds aren't really that good, and I think that in today's day and age, you really need to be pushing the boundaries forward when it comes to charging. Yes, it is affordable, but it's pretty cramped there in the second row in terms of headroom and just packaging. There's no storage in the front, storage in the back is pretty limited. Just from that point, I just didn't really sort of gel with it. What I did like though was the way that it handled. I thought it was quite impressive for a front wheel drive electric car. It was really entertaining to drive and kind of fun in that regard. And look, it is excellent value for money. It is very cheap when you look at some of the other electric vehicles on the market at the moment. So let me know in the comments section below, what do you reckon? Have you ordered one? What's it like to live with? Or did you go with one of the competitors instead? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well. But until next time, take it easy.